you love music, music news, and guest interviews with artists from all around the world across many different genres? My name's Nolan, and I love music. In fact, I love music so much I created a podcast entirely dedicated to it called Every Podcast I Love Is Dead. Every week is a brand new episode where I interview musicians, artists, podcasters, radio hosts, and so much more. New episodes are available every Thursday on all your favorite podcast streaming platforms, and you can check us out on social media and at everypodcastiloveisdead.com. Hope you can join me.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Cognitive Discourse. Before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to give an apology for the lack of episode that didn't come out on last Friday. Not making any excuses. I just, been kind of overwhelmed, if you will, between this show and Basic Ass Dudes, which is the other show I do with my buddy Nolan Gunther from Every Podcast I Love Is Dead, to just having, I've actually been going to the doctor a lot recently, not only for myself, but for my kiddos and my mom. So, been trying to juggle that while also trying to be a father and a husband and focusing on all the other things that I need to get done, as far as like music's concerned and my clothing lines and all that fun stuff. Just kind of got overwhelmed, and even at 50 episodes of the Cognitive Discourse every Friday coming out, I had episodes lined up. I just didn't feel like putting anything out. I got sidetracked doing other things. I did have an eye appointment that day, and the good news is that I went and checked out got my eye checked out, and everything's looking good. I still have a few pills that I need to still take. They gave me like 125 pills, I believe. And I was taking them like 5 times a day for like 10 days. And then I cut down to 2 a day, for like 20 days, but I still have some. But the doctor looked at my right eye, and, the herpaderp that was in my eye is no longer there. So that's the good news. My left eye, the pressure seems to be, less than what it was. So he basically told me, we can stop, because he knows that I don't have insurance. I'm paying out of pocket. That if there's a chance that it could come back. So if it does come back, basically to go back to him and see him, and we'll go from there. But hopefully I can get on some insurance there with my wife and her badass job, and I can start doing it more regularly. Like I said in past episodes, this eye thing really was kind of eye-opening, no pun intended, on my health. And I haven't been feeling that great. The pills have been helping as far as like my immunity being really low, and being able to take those pills have kind of helped me bounce back a little bit. But just my health in general is kind of stressing me out. I've been trying to do things that alleviate my stress a little bit, and so it's been, and now that the weather's getting to where I like it, it's not as hot outside, so I'm able to kind of go outside a little bit more and do more walking, do a little bit more exercising, getting some of that good old natural vitamin D from the sun. So I'm starting to feel a little bit better, but I just wanted to kind of take a break, and I didn't announce it or anything and let everybody know. So for those that were wondering what happened to Friday's episode last week, that's what happened. Just kind of had a lot going on. I still have a lot going on. I still need to catch up on my YouTube channel. So if you're watching over on YouTube and you're wondering, where the hell are these YouTube uploads? Why haven't you uploaded in a while? That's why. And again, I've been putting a lot of energy and a lot of time into Bad Basic Ass Dudes. We are having a hell of a time over there. We're having a lot of fun. If you haven't checked out Basic Ass Dudes, I highly suggest going to YouTube. Just type in Basic Ass Dudes, and we've already released 4 episodes. We do it bi-weekly. So we're having a lot of fun over there, and I'm trying to do as much homework as I can on trying to figure out how to better my editing, because my editing is kind of shit right now. My video editing, my audio editing is probably shit too. It's very, very minimal, very basic, but I'm trying to get better at it. Funny thing enough, I was on Super Cool Radio. Shout out to Super Cool Radio. He featured me on one of his episodes, my music, my Among War stuff. And I was listening to the episode. It's a really cool podcast. If you want to check out new bands and stuff, check out Super Cool Radio. He has, not only does he do interviews, but he also has he's like a internet DJ, and so he'll make a set list, if you will, of different bands that he'll play within the hour-long episode that he does. And he just he gets permissions from these bands, and he just basically plays an hour. What DJs should be, you know what I mean? Like on a radio station. And so you just get to hear a lot of cool new music. I got to hear a lot of bands that I've never heard before. He dabbles in different genres. So, you may hear some stuff that's heavy, some that's more poppy, some that's, more radio friendly. But overall, it's a good time. And he's always got great things to say about the bands. And he lives it, man. He not only does he play these bands to help bands get exposure, but he's a fan of these bands, and he goes and sees them play, and he travels a lot to go check these bands out. So he's all around cool dude. He also did an episode with Nolan on Every Podcast I Love Is Dead. So go check that interview out. That's how I found out about him. Like I said, from the start, I've always been about community and wanting to build a community with not only podcasters, but bands and stuff. So I really I'm starting to see that come to fruition, and I'm working with some really cool, talented people, and that's why, again, pointing back to the beginning, you heard the little promo from Nolan there. I'm gonna start doing that a little bit more. Nolan's the one that brought that idea to me, because he's doing that on his show, and so we're gonna be doing that over here. So I'm gonna be reaching out to some of my podcast buddies. And trying to do that. And again, there's still bands too that I would like to feature on my show. We could probably open the show with certain bands, and I wanted to do that from the get go. And again, we've been featuring bands on Basic Ass Dudes, and it's been amazing. We've been meeting some really cool fucking bands, and it's all fitting under the umbrella, and that's what I love about it. It's been really great. Nolan. We reach out to bands for bad, and then we get them featured on the show, and then it kind of opens the door for Nolan to say, hey, I also do a solo podcast. Can I interview you guys? And then they're like, yeah, sure. And they interview on there. So they're getting on two podcasts, or vice versa. Sometimes, he's already interviewed a band, and then he goes, hey, I'm doing this other podcast. I'd love to feature you on an episode where we can play one of your tracks. And, those bands, they're always cool about it too. So it allows us to be able to build that community. And, going into this episode, I didn't really know what I was going to talk about, but I think that's something that's really, I've brought it up before in the past, but like I said, as time progresses, we're starting to really see the community take shape. Now, I'm by no means a big name in podcasting, nor am I a big name in music. But, a lot of us are smaller podcasters, smaller musicians, but us uniting forces and helping each other out and supporting each other is something that I love. I love to see it. Granted, I wish I would have got more of that from personal people that I know on a personal level. But to be able to build a community with people who kind of have the same mindset is really fun. So I would love to play a promo here of Super Cool Radio. He's one of the guys I want to reach out to, but I just want to give a shout out to him because he's on the same wavelength as me and Nolan. If you're looking for music related podcasts, definitely check out Super Cool Radio. Definitely check out Every Podcast I Love Is Dead. Those are two guys that are not only great interviewers, but they take a lot of time, love, and passion in their podcasts, and it shows in the way that their podcasts are created. I'm a super huge fan of the way Nolan does his editing on his show, and which is funny because I do the editing for Basic Ass Dudes, and I just did it just to one, because I wanted to learn and to alleviate some of the pressure from him. But he does amazing stuff, man. He's got background in radio, so he's got the voice, he's got the charisma. I really look up to the dude. So Nolan, if you're listening to this, shout out to you, man. We do talk a lot on a personal level. So he's become a really good friend of mine. He's my brother from Canada. So I really enjoy the relationship that we've built. And again, I reaching out to other podcasters. I really enjoy the camaraderie and the support that we have all started to build. And again, like I said, podcasters and bands, we're trying to pull bands into that fold, because we're all music lovers too at the end of the day. So it's great, man. It's what keeps me going. Like I said, in the past, I've brought up depression in past episodes, and it was really hard for me to understand depression until I actually started kind of living with it, and didn't really know that's what that was. But I have my days, and I think everybody does. But knowing that I'm able to do things that I'm passionate about every day really alleviates a lot of that depression, if you will. But sorry, excuse me. Yeah, man, I'm excited to wake up every day. I'm excited to talk to Nolan. I'm excited to talk to other podcasters, to check out other podcasts. Granted, I'm not able to listen to as many podcasts as I'd like, because as a content creator, it's hard to digest other content when you're constantly making content yourself. But I know enough about these content creators that, again, I'm always a fan of these people first before I even reach out to them. And that's kind of how, like I said, with Super Cool Radio, that's what happened with that, is I was listening to the interview and I really liked this. He's a young kid, but he understands how it works, man. And he understands the grind. So I have a lot of respect for him. And like I said, I'm going to be reaching out to other podcasters soon to try to get some more promos. So yeah, just look out for that. I don't have ads, but I will promote other podcasts. And if you're a podcaster listening to this and you want to get in on the community, hit me up and let's talk. Show me what your podcast is. Like I said, I'm always interested in finding new stuff. And so even though I may not listen to your podcast on the regular, I definitely will check some of them out and, fit it into my rotation for sure. Same thing with bands. I'm always looking for bands. Now bands, I'm always down to listen to new bands. Me and my daughter love getting in the truck together and just cruising around San Antonio, just jamming out to some new shit. So yeah, this episode ended up turning into a long ass promo, I guess. I had another topic in mind to talk about, but I'm going to leave that for a separate episode, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of what happened. I've been busy with life. But I do, like I said, I do backlog these episodes. I do that so I can't upload. The issue is that, the software that I use, or the company that I use that allows me to stream these episodes out into the world to different streaming services, they have an option to where I could upload multiple episodes on, and I can set the dates and times that they release, which I'm sure a lot of people do. That's the professional thing to do. I don't do that because, again, I backlog a bunch of episodes, and then I kind of go through and look at which ones I haven't released yet and figure out which one I feel like would fit for that week. What am I feeling about releasing it? Because like I said, so some of the episodes that you listen to, the day that they air, I may have recorded them a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago. And then sometimes, I talk about something that's super current within that week. So, I have to kind of push it ahead, like this last episode, this week I wanted to release one where I was going to talk kind of like comedy stuff, since we just lost the late great Norm Macdonald, but I still need to record the episode. So that one will probably come out later, so I'll probably miss the window there as far as that. But it's still an episode that I wanted to do, that I wanted to talk about, because comedy is something that's, something that's pretty prominent in my life as far as like stuff that I'm really into. Music and comedy, comic books, stuff like that. But comedy is one of those top tier things in my life. And I'm so into it that I've thought about doing stand-up, but which is kind of funny because I've noticed that a lot of comedians also have this like unsung thing of wanting to be like a rock star, right? So like comedians want to be musicians, and this weird thing of me being a musician, being surrounded by musicians. A lot of the musicians that I know, they want to do stand-up comedy. So it's this weird thing of like you're kind of a master of your craft, but there's always that other thing that you're like looking at, like, man, I want to do that too. And that's kind of how it is with my world and in the music world and in the entertainment world and the podcast world and all that stuff. I've always secretly wanted to do stand-up. And I have like ideas for bits, but I've never sat down and actually worked on it and try to flesh out how I could do the joke. And see, and what makes me nervous about it is and the reason why I have so much respect for comedians is because there's a difference between music and comedy, in the sense that I can write a song and I can spend a lot of time trying to perfect it behind the scenes before you ever listen to it. Versus comedy, you really don't know if the joke's going to work unless you perform it in front of people. And then you can kind of figure out what works, what doesn't work for that joke, and you can tweak it and fine tune it. You don't have the luxury as a comedian like musicians do. Like, we can fine tune and tweak things. If I come up with a riff, I can fuck around with different rhythms and different ways of playing said riff. I can fuck around with the chords. I can move them around. I can do a lot of cool things to change the tempo and do all that stuff to kind of fine tune how I want the song to sound, right? With comedy, you can't really do that. You have to tinker. You have to come up with the concept of the joke, and then you have to actually go on stage and perform it and see if it works. Because in your head, it may work. It may be funny to you, and you may think, "Oh man, this joke's gonna fucking kill." And then you get out there, and it bombs. So you gotta kind of. That's what terrifies me. And then again, doing music, being in a band. I've always been in a band setting. I've never actually performed by myself. I've never gone up and done like an acoustic set, which is just me and my guitar. I've always been in a band, and for the most part, I was always a bass player in most bands that I was in. I did drums as well. Never really played guitar live, but I always was the bass player. And so, you're able to cover up mistakes a lot easier within the overall band itself. So if somebody fucks up and they know how to cover it up really well, a lot of times fans don't even know. Especially if you're a no-name band, they don't know who the fuck you are. They're not going to know when you fuck up. You will, but they won't. So it's a little less stressful to be in a band. Being a comedian is it intrigues me. It interests me. I just haven't gotten the balls to go up and do it just yet. And it's funny because I've been watching a lot of Kill Tony, which is a podcast with Tony Hinchcliffe. And the concept of that show is really interesting to me because it's literally Tony Hinchcliffe and Brian Redband. And they have guest comedians come on, from Bill Burr to Joe Rogan to, I was watching one with Pauly Shore. They come on and they sit at the table with Tony Hinchcliffe and Redband, and they have a bucket, and they've been doing a lot of shows in Austin because everybody's coming to fucking Texas, but they sit down and they have a bucket. And so if you're an aspiring comedian, you can write your name on a piece of paper and basically sign up to be on this show. And he'll draw a random name, and if your name gets picked, you have 1 minute. You have a 1 minute set. So you go on stage and you perform for 1 full minute, 60 seconds. And it's such a cool concept to me, but from a performing standpoint, it's fucking terrifying. Because, again, I don't have any material. I think if I had material, a solid material, it wouldn't be as terrifying. But you have people that go up there that have never done comedy or have only done comedy for a few months, and they're going up there trying to knock out a minute. And it's like, man, like, fuck. I don't know. It seems odd. It's great because some of them go up there and they fucking kill. They have regulars that go, and they do really well. But yeah, man, it's one of those things where it's like I like the challenge of it, but it also terrifies the crap out of me. It's like, fuck, like, but yeah, man. So that's something that I've really been into, and like I said, I've been watching a lot of comedy lately, a lot of that type of comedy. I've been, just kind of indulging myself in something. I guess it's taking my mind off of other things. I don't know, but yeah, I do want to do another. I want to do another episode that's kind of more comedy based, where I kind of talk about the differences, because I think there's different kind of comedians, and then like when people say they're a fan of comedy, it's such a blanket statement. And it's funny because I don't like to do this with music, but there are different subgenres, if you will, of comedy. And there's certain genres of comedy that don't interest me. And then for me, there's a tier system of comedians, and depending on your style of comedy, kind of depends on where in the tier system you fall. For me, and again, for me, maybe not for you, but for me, there's comedies who are just like haha funny, and then there's other comedians that that they take it to that next level and they make you think. And so yeah, I want to do an episode on that soon, so look out for that. That's going to be coming soon. I was super unprepared when I did this episode. I really didn't know what to talk about. I just kind of hit record, and we're just kind of going with it. But again, because I knew that I wanted to apologize to you guys, and it's just kind of getting back into the swing of things, and just kind of update you guys on what's going on. So like I said, Bad's doing really well. We're having a ton of fun doing that, and every podcast I love is dead also just took a recent break, and he's coming back strong. He's also doing a Halloween themed type thing, which we're working on for Bad too. We haven't really discussed it, but I know for the month of October, we want to do kind of a holiday themed type thing show. I think it's going to be 2 episodes that are going to be more Halloween themed, because since it's bi-weekly, he's going to do one, because we take turns hosting, so he'll do one and then I'll do one. And then he's doing a really cool thing over at Every Podcast I Love Is Dead, with like rock music, and it's going down a Halloween themed vibe. So that's going to be fun, man. And I think he has a trailer for it as well to kind of promote October's lineup. So when that drops publicly, I'll put it here on the Cognitive Discourse, and I'll give you guys a little bit more information on that. But yeah, man, we're grinding, man. We're trying to stay busy. And like I said, my patience with the apartment complex that I live in is about at its tipping point. So we are pushing very hard and trying very hard to get out of here. so we can have a bigger place. And I'm hoping that once we have a bigger place, I'm going to invest in some better cameras and hopefully start having actual guests come in on a in quote unquote in studio. I'll start filming these where you can see more of a video audio thing, but I want to try to have people come in so we can do some real guest spots. Zoom's great. It works awesome for the show, bad for me and Nolan. But again, he's in Canada and I'm in Texas. I eventually would love to have him come down and we actually hang out in person and do a couple shows in person. But I know for the TCD here, I would love to have some of my friends come on, some people that I'm interested here in the local scene come in and do physical episodes with me, not only just because I think it would be more interesting, but again, it's also going to help me in my editing. I'm always looking to try to be better. And that was one of the things I kind of trailed off, but that was one of the things going back to Super Cool Radio. Is one of the things that I noticed when I was listening to his show. So he has a lot of bands. It's like, an hour of music. And I noticed the song that I sent him, although the quality is not terrible, it definitely was not up to par with the other bands that were on the show. So again, it's something that I might be nitpicking. Other people probably couldn't tell. Maybe I was just being overcritical. Who knows? But at the end of the day, it when listening to it next to other songs and other bands, and because he played another heavy band right after my band, or right after my song played, and so I got to kind of hear the contrast and the difference between the tracks on a tonal level. And clarity and so it kind of put things into perspective for me, and it allowed me to be like, okay, this is what I need to work on. This is where my weaknesses are, and we need to get better at it. And again, it's not just in the side of music, but it's with the whole podcasting in general. It's with the video editing, all that stuff, man. I'm trying to get better at it, and I'm constantly watching videos. When I'm not doing this stuff, like that's what I'm doing. I'm on YouTube watching tutorials on how to get better at this stuff, and I want to try to start surrounding myself around people who really know how to do this stuff, and try to take notes. And that's I'm also gonna do another episode here soon where I kind of talk about the pros and cons of the way that I learned to do things, and how I learned things, and how awesome the internet and technology has been able to allow someone like myself to learn how to do a lot of things. I don't have a dad, so I had to learn how to do a lot of the manly shit on my own. And so the internet being the way it is allowed me to kind of learn a lot of that shit. Like I was working on my truck just a couple days ago. And because of the internet, it saved me a bunch of money, from having to go out and have somebody look at it and do the things for me. And I was able to answer a lot of questions on what I need to do and how I need to do it, by just watching videos. So I want to do a video on that and kind of talk about that, pros and cons of that. But yeah, there's a lot of plans, man. Like I'm not releasing episodes because I lack content. I have plenty of content on both sides of the podcast, between both podcasts, between my music and stuff like that. It's just I'm trying to find out how to juggle it all, because I am also thinking about going back to work. I've been getting a couple of job offers, and it's just kind of like I'm trying to juggle all that, and it's like, I'm not really making, if I pull the veil back a little bit with this, I'm not making money off of this stuff. I do this shit for fun. I do this shit as a stress reliever. I do this shit because I'm passionate about it. I do this because, eventually I'd like to get to a point where, I have a big enough fan base to where I can, do this as not only my job, but like I can financially sustain my family with this. That's the goal. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I still do this just because I enjoy it. And again, my wife allows me to be able to do it. But as a father, as a man, as a individual, it does bug me at times that I am not working a full-time job like I was. Since I was 18 years old, I've been grinding it out every single day. I didn't have a normal teenage life from, like the late teens, early 20s. While everybody was out partying and having a good time, a lot of times I was working. And I worked overnight jobs in my early 20s and late teens. So I was working every Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. I didn't have the weekends off. And granted, it got me out of a ticket one time because I got pulled over on a Saturday night by a cop, and since I was going to work, he let me go. But yeah, so not being able to support my family financially right now, I think that's also kind of playing into my, I wouldn't say depression, but it plays into the second guessing, if you will, as far as being like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, is this the right path? Am I doing the right things? And it's kind of just like, I'm doing all these things for free right now, and I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a lot. 2 podcasts, my band. I have a few, I have over 150, almost 200 t-shirts that I've designed that are out on the internet for sale. Me and the wife do art that we plan to sell at the flea market here soon. We're doing a lot of different things to try to find an avenue to find that financial freedom, but also be able to be self-sustained. I'm trying to find the right way to put it, but not have to. We want to be successful entrepreneurs, if you will. We want to be able self-serving business owners. And self-serving that might not even be the right word to use. But financial freedom is the best way I can say it. Like, we want to be financially free to be able to do the things that we want to do, to be able to, we want to generate our own income. We don't want to have to rely on a paycheck. We don't want to have to work for somebody else. So that's the goal. It's a bumpy road, and it's one of those things where it's kind of rough, man. When, again, I'm in the long game, and this is a conversation me and Nolan always have. I'm in it for the long haul. So, I don't really focus on numbers and all that stuff now. Even though I'm 50 podcast episodes in with this one, I still generally kind of look at the numbers only when I'm uploading. I tend to not really hang out on the site and check out analytics and all this stuff. And, there's an argument there, I guess you could say, as far as like, well, maybe that's why I'm not where I want to be, because I'm not really paying attention to the analytics and really trying to jump into the algorithm and trying to be successful with the algorithm, which would get me more listens and more plays, and which would generate more a buzz, which would bring around the sponsors and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of like, I'm focusing on just making as much content as possible and just putting it out there. Yes, there is a little bit of marketing going on my end, but for the most part, I'm just focused on just creating content, because that's what I like to do. If eventually it'll catch on, and then if it doesn't, again, I don't have a problem with going back and being a full-time worker. My goal is to become financially free, and there's a few things in the pipeline as far as like being a business owner outside of this that me and the wife are looking into, which is going to take time to get there. But at the end of the day, we're always trying to find ways to, again, get away from quote unquote that paycheck slavery. and working for the man, if you will. But I think there's also like a stigma that is on men in general, that, you know, we're supposed to be the breadwinner, and you know, I think that's why a lot of people are in positions where they're miserable. I think a lot of people are miserable because they never got to really go after their passions. And so, you know, I'm a little critical on myself because of, I guess, that stigma. But at the same time, you know, I have that the other side of that. It's like, well, you know, I'm also lucky because I have a wife who understands that, you know, I have an overall bigger picture of the way I want my life to turn out, the way I want my life, not only for myself, but for her and for my kids, and for my mom, you know, and, you know, she's willing to kind of ride that wave with me and let me kind of try to figure it out. And so, you know, she knows there's things that she's passionate about too, and that she wants to do. And, you know, I'm trying to help her with that as well, you know, while she's also doing full-time job. But that's why it's kind of one of those things that once these things start to pick up, it's like, okay, now we can start focusing on other things. And, you know, like I said, the goal is to eventually become financially stable enough with this stuff that my wife can quit her job and she can focus on doing what Sheila enjoys doing. And, you know, I really just wish that for everyone. You know, I think that too many of us have been put in a position in life where we're not happy because of how life turned out, whether it be making bad decisions or just, I don't know, man, but I feel like a lot of people are doing things that they don't want to do. And they let their dreams just die. And it sucks. It bums me out. And then the people who want to do things and that are trying to do things and are trying to chase that dream and chase that passion, you know, they have a lot of their own demons, personal demons, and inner dialogue and inner doubt that they're facing. And then you have people that are close to you that are also doubting it or underplaying it. So it's rough, man. And so that's, you know, I give it to content creators. And then even the ones that are successful, you have a lot of old school folks, this old school mentality of like, well, you're not working a 40 to 60 hour work week. You're not working, you know, a real job, you know. You know, and for me, I feel like there's a form of jealousy in that. Because at the end of the day, dude, I don't fucking care how you make your money, bro. Like if it's something that you enjoy doing and you love doing and it's not hurting other people, make your fucking paper. Like, do what you got to do. I know there was a lot of hate for Twitch streamers, and at the end of the day, I think it's just people who are upset that they have to get up, walk, you know, take their ass to work, and like that's something to brag about, you know, working a 60-hour week, coming home tired as fuck, sunburn as fuck, you know, so tired you can barely fucking eat, and then you go to sleep and you're not able to get enough sleep because you got to get up and do the shit all over again, and your body's falling apart, and you're sitting there looking down on the guy or gal who, you know, is sitting in front of a fucking computer and making what you make in a year, they make in a week. Like, figure it out, man. Go after your passions. And like I said, I'm lucky and I'm appreciative of the fact that I'm in a position where my wife is basically like, you know, do what you got to do. You know, you busted your ass so I could stay at home with the kids for a while. And, you know, now it's my turn to give back and allow you to do what you want to do. And I'll work for the time being. You know, and again, not everybody has that ability, and I understand, but, you know, it almost comes down to just got to find out what works for you, man. You know, and that's why I was saying, like, that's why I'm also looking at maybe going back to work, and the good thing is that people are bringing up their pay. So if I could find a job that pays pretty well and I can do it part-time, that will still allow me to go out and make a little bit of money to come back and still be able to do this, that's kind of where I'm at. Some of the jobs that I've been offered, good pay, but it's full-time, and I'm like, man, if I do that, I won't really be able to continue doing this stuff. Just because, again, I'm also a father, and whatever I do, I put all my time and effort in. So if I'm at a job and I'm working full time, all my time and effort will be in that. And when I'm at home, I'm gonna want to relax and chill and spend time with the family. So yeah, that's just a little bit of why I'm kind of struggling with what the future holds, and I'm trying not to lose sight of things. But yeah, if I can find a part-time job, I'll keep you guys in the loop and let you know. I won't let you know where I work, but I'll let you know that I'm doing it. So, doing that will allow me to make sure I hold accountability as far as my content, to make sure that the content doesn't fall, the quality of it anyway. But yeah, man, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of things going on in my head. Trying to figure life out, every day's a goddamn adventure in my brain. So, but yeah, like I said, I have a lot of ideas that are coming up on this podcast. We have a lot of cool shit coming up on Basic Ass Dudes podcast. I have a lot of other podcasts that I'm going to be reaching out to, bands that I'm going to be reaching out to try to feature. I really do want to feature bands on this show as much as I do on Basic Ass Dudes. So there might be a little cross love there. And like I said, I want to start promoting other podcasters on here as well. So yeah, that's about all I got today. I'm about the 40-minute mark now, so we'll go ahead and call it for today. But as always, if you like to be on the show, if you have any ideas for the show, if you have a short story you want to share, if you just want to write into me and bitch at me and have me read it on the air, if you have a question for me, what they tell you at your job, questions, comments, concerns, any of that fun stuff, you can email the show at the Cognitive Discourse Cognitive Discourse Podcast at gmail.com. That's Cognitive Discourse Podcast at gmail.com. There's no it's just Cognitive Discourse Podcast at gmail.com. Send all your inquiries to that email. If you are in a band and you want me to play some of your music, send it my way. Send me the track, send me a bio of the band, show dates, all that fun stuff, whatever you want to share with the show, with the listeners, and we will play that song either in the front of the show or the end of the show. I haven't decided yet. I haven't really had anybody send me music for this podcast yet, so we'll get there when we cross that bridge, I guess. Or we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, however the fuck that saying goes. But yeah, man, you can check out the show on all your major streaming sites: Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer. You can go to Buzzsprout directly, which is kind of what I link most of the time. I think we're also on like Pod FM. We're on a bunch of them. Like I look at the statistics and I'm like, I didn't even know the fuck we were on there. People are listening to me on this podcast thing. Like, whoa, hey, what's up? Shout out. But yeah, as always, I'll have the links down in the description. If you guys are interested in some of the clothes that I design, I will leave a link down in the description as well. I do sell my clothes on Redbubble and Teespring. I haven't gotten on Amazon, Merch by Amazon yet, or any of the other ones. Redbubble and Teespring are kind of the ones that I push the most. But I'll probably just post the Redbubble link down in the episode. That way you can see all of the designs that I've done, because I have, different brands that I'm trying to build. But with the Redbubble account, they're all kind of just meshed together. So you can kind of see what I have. I have some funny t-shirts on there. I have my Rogue Zed brand. I have the Among Brazen brand. I have, you want to show some Texas love, Texas pride. There's some Texas-based shirts in there, and there's some mommy-based parent t-shirts that are, if you're a parent, mommy or daddy, we We got both of those kinds in there. There's all kinds of stuff. So I'll leave that link down there as well. Check that out. And again, that's kind of really the only way to support this show. You can buy Cognitive Discourse merch directly as well through my Teespring link. That's kind of really the only thing I have set up for support. So if you'd like to financially support the show, which again, a lot of that money I'll take and put it right back into this show, as far as like better cameras and all that stuff. But if you want to support the show, please, cop some merch, even if it's a sticker, man. I appreciate it. If you can't do, support financially, that is completely okay. You can still like this episode, share other episodes with your friends. The best promotion that I could ask for this show is to just send it to other people, share it with people that you think would be interested in this stuff. I have monologues on here that are kind of like motivational monologues. If you know somebody who's into that shit, send them that. I have some other episodes where I just talk about other things. I'm kind of ranty on some of these episodes. Find an episode and send it to them. That's free. And all you're paying for that is your time. And if you're still listening to me at the 46-minute mark, then bravo to you. Thank you. Again, I appreciate the small group of people that tune into me every Friday. I do appreciate every single one of you. I do love every single one of you guys. And I'm glad you come in on a regular and listen to me just talk about bullshit. I love it. Also, like I said, I'll leave a link down for Basic Ass Dudes. If you have not checked that show out yet, you'll get to see me kind of in a different light. Me and Nolan, I think, have really great chemistry, and we have a lot of fun doing the show. We talk about pop culture, anything from movies to music to nerd shit that we just love. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out. I'll have the link down in the description. We're heavily pushing YouTube on that. But if you rather just hear the audio versions, we do have audio versions of that show, which we release the following week. So because we release shows bi-weekly, the week that we release the actual episode, it'll be released on YouTube first. And then that following Monday, which will be a week later, we release the audio version of said episode, which will hit all the streaming platforms that week. So we have that kind of schedule nailed down almost. So the week that the audio comes out, that Saturday, the trailer for the new episode will drop. So keep that in mind as well. So it's, like I said, it's on a bi-weekly basis. But yeah, go check that out. Go check out Super Cool Radio. Go check out Every Podcast I Love Is Dead. I'll have some other podcasts that I'll be promoting here pretty soon. Friends, like I said, I got to reach out to them and say, hey, make me a promo. But again, thank you for chatting with me today. Sorry I was kind of all over the fucking place today. Like I said, I really didn't kind of know where we were going with this episode, but thanks again for tuning in. And as always, enjoy your Friday. Have a great weekend. And until next time.